Hello, hello! Welcome back to Mrs. Fortenberry's Art Studio. So today we are going to make a clay project. It's going to be what I call a pocket fish. It's also known as a taco fish. You will find out later in the video as you're making it why we call it that, but you can see it's like a little pocket in there. So I'm gonna show you in the video how I made this cute little fishy. This is also another example, a little bigger version that I made before the video. So get your tools ready and get ready to have a lot of fun creating these fun little fishies. So the first thing you are going to do, if you want this little lip, the little fish lips on here, so this one is without the fish lips. So if you want the fish lips, what you are going to do is you're gonna take one long side and you're going to carefully fold up one of the edges so it's kind of curled up like so, and then I'm just gonna keep curling it over very gently and carefully. I'm curling it over. These are gonna be your little lips. All right, and now you can see all my little fingerprints here, so I'm just gonna try to take my finger and just kind of smooth it out. I'm working with really fresh clay, so if your clay is a little bit drier and maybe starting to crack a little bit, you can always dip your finger in a little bit of the water from the slip and smooth it out, right? But mine's really doesn't need that. I just wanted to show you for example. So I'm just kind of smoothing it out so it's not quite as bumpy. Okay, so this part is optional. All right, so I have my little lips here. And this is going to be the outside of my fishy. Okay, so that's gonna be this side. So if you want a really pretty cool texture on the outside, you can take one of these texture plates and press it in. Or you can leave it smooth, and when you're done, you can stamp little circles, or you can draw little scale shapes like little U's all over it to make it more fish-like, like with the scales shapes. So that's your option. So you can leave it alone and stamp in or draw in your texture, or you can go ahead and stamp in a design like so to yours. So not on the lips, don't stamp on the lips. So I'm just gonna press this in. If you choose this technique, I'm pressing it in, pressing pretty hard, but I'm not like attacking my clay, right? I'm not squishing it too much. And you have this really cool texture going on. I think this is a great texture for a fish, like little bubbles and waves. Okay, so now I'm going to flip my slab over, and I am going to fold it and attach it so that it is the shape of my fishies here. So you need to do what we call scoring and slipping. This is so important. I'm gonna use my little fancy schmancy little scoring tool. If you don't have one of these, a pencil works just fine, guys, and I'll show you how to use both. So with the scoring tool, you're going to score the ends and the back side of the fish. The end where your mouth is, your lips, do not score that. So I'm just gonna scratch, scratch, scratch along the edges, like so. Scratch it up really good with either this tool or use your pencil, and just do little marks and crisscross them, like so. Okay, so either tool works just as good as the other. All right, so let's scratch up back here and back here. And now I am going to add a little bit of slip. So you wanna get the nice muddy clay portion out of your slip and just kind of spread it on like butter. Do not smooth out your scratches. You want to add a nice little portion of slip on top of your scratches. This is called score and slip. Okay, so now I have a toilet paper roll that I just cut in half. You could use toilet paper rolls, or you could just use paper towel and wad it up and put it in the center. But you need to put either paper towel or a toilet paper roll in there. So I'm just gonna put this down towards the mouth. You wanna leave a nice space here. And I'm going to fold it up like a taco. And I'm gonna attach just the top where I scored and slip. I'm going to squeeze them together like so. Okay, don't squeeze so hard that you make it paper thin. You want to keep it pretty thick. And then I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to clean up the slip and smooth out my edges. So your texture is going to disappear where your fins are. This is going to be the top fin, but look how thick I left it. I did not pinch real hard. I just pinched them till they stuck together, and then I smoothed it out. And now I'm going to press it down. And this made a pretty big fish. So you could go smaller, but I think this is really good for the video so you can see what I'm doing. You could definitely go smaller on your fishies if you wanted to. All right, so I just kind of pinched my lips together here, and I'm gonna smooth those bumps out. And then I have a nice fin, a nice top fin, and now I need a tail fin. So I'm going to take the end, and I'm going to, again, I'm gonna turn it this way so you can see, just pinching where I scored and slipped. Here, I'm gonna pinch this little end of my top fin down into my tail fin, and I'm going to smooth it out, smooth it out. Okay, so pinch those together. All right, and I have a big pocket, right? All right, so now I want this to be in a little bit. So I'm gonna take my fingers and I'm just going to press in my fishy if you want it to be in a little bit. So I'm just kind of pushing in just a little bit. All right, I have a great little shape here. So now we need side fins and we need eyeballs and some little texture added to our fishy. So my tail fin is smooth and my top fin is smooth. I will draw some lines in those later. All right, my lips are smooth. All right, to make your eyes, I have a little ball of clay. You're just gonna pinch it in half. And if you want smaller eyes, just pinch it off. So I have a pretty big fish, so I'm making my eyes kind of big. I'm gonna make two spheres, the same size. Please make your two spheres before you start gluing them down. I want my eyeballs to be the same size, okay? Now, I need to attach them to my fishy. So to do that, can I just stick it on there? No, because it will fall off. So I scratch where I'm going to glue it on my eyeball and on my fishy, okay? And then get your slip and dab it on there. Now you want to press and wiggle a little bit, wiggle, 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 press, press, press. I'm gonna flatten my eyes just a little bit. And I have this clay kind of oozing out, so I need to clean that up. Take your little fingers and kind of clean that up. You don't wanna leave that on there because it will dry hard. And then you'll have little bumps everywhere, right? Slip. Stick the scratch parts together. Wiggle, 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 and press. And clean it up. Make sure it's really on there. Now, if you want to add the little fins to the side, you can either roll it into a ball and pinch it out, or you could get a slab of clay and you could draw your fins. I'm just gonna draw like a triangle with a rounded end, and I want them about the same size. So try to draw them about the same size. And then after I look at them and compare them, I cut them out with my little tool here. And I'm slicing like butter. I'm not sawing it, I'm not going up and down. I'm just slicing it right through. Before I glue them down, I want to compare them. This one's a little bigger, so I'm gonna trim just a tiny bit off. Just a little. And again, to stick them on, what do? We score and slip. So I'm gonna stick my hand inside the fishy so I don't mess it up, and I'm going to scratch where my fins go on my fishy. I'm going to scratch the part that I'm gluing down on my fins. And I'm going to add slip and glue it down. Now I'm putting my hand in the fishy and I'm pressing it. And you might need to reshape it. Remember, clean up that slip. Some of your texture might come off, that's okay. The form is more important than the texture. I'm just smoothing all my edges out. I want everything nice and soft. Press it, press it, press it. I'm pressing, I'm not squashing. Scratch, scratch, scratch. And add that slip. And I'm adding my fins. Now, my last step of my design is going to be to add some little lines. You can use your pencil, or if you have one of these little wooden dowels, you could use this. I am just going to gently draw lines in my fins on both sides. Same thing down here. Draw carefully. Do not rip through your clay. Now, if you have smoothed out your texture, it's not there anymore, or you wanted to do these, you can draw in little U shapes for scales or C shapes very carefully, like so. Or if you want circles like that, that's just the end of a marker cap and you just stamp it. So because I smoothed out some of my texture, I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit of scales on my fishy. All right, there is my fishy. You could leave the eyes like that, or you could stamp little circles in them if you wanted to. And here's our pocket fish. I had so much fun creating this. I'm going to let this dry for a few days. When it is bone dry, like this little guy here, we will put it in the kiln and then we get to paint it. Okay, so now it is time to paint our fishy. So I made 3, I'm only gonna paint 1. You can see they came out of the kiln. They are white, they're nice and hard. They are still breakable if you drop them, but they are definitely more sturdy. So I am gonna pick 1 to paint. I think I will paint my little polka dotted one here. So this is purple and this is blue that I'm gonna paint on my little fishy. Now, before we start painting, I wanna show you something. When you're painting with your glaze, it's gonna look different today than it will when it comes out of the kiln. So this is a fired piece of tile. When I'm painting with it today, it looks like this. So it's gonna look a little different today. Just trust the process, okay? So it dries really fast and it turns kind of light and kind of a chalky color. It has a glossy glass finish when we take it out of the kiln. It dries really fast and you wanna make sure to add 3 layers to your fish. So I'm gonna paint it once, paint it twice, and paint it a 3rd time. So 3 layers of this type of paint, and when we take it out of the kiln, it'll be nice and shiny. Okay, and make sure you go around the eyes very carefully. And I'm going to paint nice and smooth. I don't want it real lumpy. And on this type of paint, it's really important that you do not paint the bottom of your clay project, because when we set it in the kiln, it would stick to the shelf. So wherever it's sitting on the table, do not paint that part of your project, please. So now I have all 3 layers of my pink on my fishy. It needs to dry before I add anything else on top of the pink paint. I left my eyes white. I will add some little details to those in a little bit. And now I'm going to paint my little lips blue while I wait for this to dry. And when everything's dry, I can paint the inside of my fish. And I'm gonna add some little stripes and polka dots on top of my fishy. So here's our kiln. Our clay has been fired and it is cooling down this morning, and look at that. Here is our fishy that I just painted in the video. He looks so cool. Look at how the colors changed, how shiny he is. I had so much fun creating this. I cannot wait to see what your projects look like. Thanks for creating with me.